else. It is not exactly too easy here, especially for RSG, my bad. It's not, when they are looking for these bigger engages, there's just a lot of options and tools that RRQ have to just say no. Ruby, for an example, simple way, a lot of taunts, a lot of ways to make sure that Masha isn't going to be as effective, or even Lolita.
I'm looking at the composition so far, and I just really like RSG right now. Because, okay, yes, RRQ, I agree with you. They have a lot to play with, but it's all going to come down to that early game. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to step into the land of dawn for game number 2. Let's see if RRQ can equalize or RSG can follow up with the momentum.
Here we go. Game number 2 on its way. This early game is going to be a make it or break it for both sides. Demon Kite cannot lose his momentum here against Albert, who is going to be on his Karina. You know what he's like on these assassins.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, having a wow, early skirmishing already here. This is the power of a Ruby, right? And you can not able to force any spells out here yet, but going back to Vin, right? Vin, especially the performance that he has on a Franco, I feel like he does a great job on a Ruby too. You can already see the early aggression coming out.
Whoa, Demon Kite, yeah, taken very low here. He's forced to back up. That's going to be the Mystic Field popped and used to just immobilize Vin, stop this tempo from getting any further. But you can see, right now, Light and Aqua, they are very pressured in lane.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, especially when Vin is playing that Ruby, right? Aqua, and especially when he's on that Savior, is not going to be very effective in the early stages of the game. And the same goes for Lolita, who just has a point-and-click stun. Okay, they didn't steal away the orange buff. Thank goodness Demon Kite can continue farming.
What I'm wondering, though, too, is in these early objectives, if they have enough here, RSG, oh, they initiate.
Oh, first blood there for RSG. Again, Vin, a little bit too aggressive there. RSG instantly punish.
Okay, going back to my point, right? Do they have enough to win these kind of early aggressive trades that are happening from RRQ? And, you know, I guess they do, because they grab that first blood. And with the turtle coming up shortly, they might be able to set themselves up here. Emon gonna flicker out, but has to reset too, and they want to prepare for that next turtle.
And I think this is smart. RRQ are making sure that the mid lane priority is forcing Lolita to kind of match, because they're threatening somebody, and they threaten the jungle, and they can't afford the jungle to fall off that early, so Light has to match them everywhere they go, allowing for the lane dominant heroes like Skylar playing this Brody to try and win this early game against Iman.
Let's see the first turtle fight here. It is going to be RRQ looking for more. Nats going to the back line. That's going to be Albert winning on the Retribution battle. R7 pinning Demon Kite down as the real world manipulation comes in. Demon Kite taken low, going to be taken down there by R7 as Albert will look to kite away. The Dawning Light is not enough, even with Nat's damage to top it off. It is RRQ with a favorable 2-for-1 trade and a turtle.
See, that's the thing, right? They don't have the damage yet quite enough. And you could see, right, this is the jungle barracks does work pretty well, but even early on, especially when you're forced to fight in that real world manipulation, and with Vin being there, it's pretty tough to win those early trades.
I think more so, they just need the items. They need their first items here. They did play a little bit of a risk trying to get a pick back, but I think RSG at this point, they don't mind. First turtle, a little bit of EXP. They're not completely out of it just yet. The only consequence that they take is the fact that Demon Kite has to restack himself all over again. He wants to be a big boy, but right now he's just going to be walking on some toddler legs for a while.
Yeah, but back at it again to the point that we made a little bit, right, in the drafts. RRQ, this composition was made to dominate this early game, securing a lot of the neutral objectives, especially with a Brody in lane. You're looking for a lot of catches. But when it comes to that late game, I feel like this is, again, a very Omega-ish draft from RSGPH. It feels like they're stalling it out for Aqua and for Iman on the speed tricks to scale up. RRQ, they need to pull the trigger. They need to look for fights early on, maybe more picks than game number 1. But so far, I feel like RSG have been able to nullify all of that.
Yeah, like you said, you know, they're going with that same kind of game plan. They've made a couple changes in their draft here, but Aqua also picking up the Clock of Destiny already at this point. So this is what we saw, right? That early fight where he didn't really have that damage yet. At this point, it's already going to be scaling. So the next big objectives that do come up, now RRQ Hoshi has to be pretty much careful in how they decide to go about those fights.
And I think a lot of it has to come down to whether or not RRQ Hoshi members have battle spells, right? And I think, oh, here we go, a fight.
Oh, R7 still able to find that heavy spin onto Aqua, even with the flicker pop, and that's going to be Light falling as well. Albert with a double kill, 2-0. This is what you want to see from RRQ. Using that early aggressiveness to just look for fights, and R7 roaming so early on is just such a curveball to RSG.
You have to admit, the RRQ members are a little too good at Akai. Somehow they always get more than, like, they get 2 members at a minimum. And this is starting to become a bit of a weird trend. Like, how are they learning? What is the boot camp for Akai here?
I mean, no matter what role they play it in, it works so well for them. And that's the thing, too, right? You can continue to just let Nath stay in that lane. R7 is going to be way more valuable if he joins those team fights anyway. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So they have that early lead already, 2.4K gold lead, 5 minutes in. And like we said, RSG Philippines wants to just take the time, slow down a little bit here, and just get into this game because obviously the tempo is being set by RRQ HOSHI.
You can see that there are a lot of little victories that RRQ HOSHI are taking on the map. Not just from these team fights alone, but notice how they play the waves, especially in that mid lane. They don't usually just shove it off. Like even here, right? They're waiting for the enemy to spot out themselves, and that's going to be actually Finn, who gets caught in the render and the stun from Light. Skylar is here looking for the play onto Light, but Light just perfect flicker timing there to get out of that situation. As R7 tries to make his way into that mid lane through the top side river, he will be forced to back up by Demon Kite and Nas, showing dominance here in the river. He's just taking control.
Yep, Nats always has to match R7 no matter what, or control the lane. They need to take something away because Skylar eventually will be able to keep on pushing Iman back. Iman does get the Blade of Despair here, and Skylar relentless. Every single time he makes even a little bit of contact against Iman, instantly he pops the ult.
Yeah, I mean, Skylar also just picked it up too, right? So at that point, both gold laners, it's going to be scary and also depending on their positioning for each team to deal with that damage now. But as this look at both XP laners just cutting the lanes, they definitely want to set up for this next turtle in just a couple of seconds. And still, Clay has been in every single kill participation at this point, right? He also has that mystery shop emblem, so he's going to be able to buy, I believe he's going utility once again on the Eve, and that's why they're so confident in these fights around these objectives.
Well, let's see. Nat is going to be first here on to the river, joining up with his team, but he might be all alone. Vin going to be able to chain CC him with R7 Nats, popping in that sprint, trying to look for that back line, and Skylar will be able to kite back. RRQ doing really well here at the front to back composition. They look for the turtle once again. Nats down to 2 HP, but look at Light. This is a very good position for him to look for that Numenon Blast. And Flash Albert gets the kill. Numenon Blast not popped. It will find no one as Skylar jumps in. That's going to be the kill streak picked up. RRQ looking to collapse further as Light will be caught out. The Mystic Field buys a little bit more time, but Albert is just massive on the Karina. Nats, you can see him look for compensation in the mid lane. He will be able to take that turret down. R7 with no damage. There is no kill pressure, but I might be wrong here. He jumps in. He looked for the solo kill. Nats taken low. Still able to run away. 1 HP with the dash.
No! Good mechanics coming out of Nats. He takes the Cyclone, knowing that if he charges, he still moves forwards during the animation. Good micro mechanics, and RSG make sure that they tax RRQ HOSHI for every move they make.
Does R7 have the cursed helmet? Because I think he has the cursed helmet, right? He was burning him. I thought that one tick was going to get him. But okay, going back to that, right? I mean, that whole thing, we saw how much of a struggle it is to actually utilize that Lolita because you charge up that Numenon Blast, but if you miss it, where do you go?
Exactly.
That kind of falls apart at that point.
Let's not forget that Light also didn't have his flicker at that point in time. He had 20 seconds still left, and they couldn't really do much about it, so they had to just somehow keep them in place in the range of that Numenon Blast, or at the very least just get the slow... They don't find that pick just yet, but Clay, he's getting a little brave here.
I want to just emphasize on what Nats was able to do there, because by getting that turret, that actually gives over the pressure to become, oh, Iman, just so aware. Yo, holy Iman, that was so good.
Iman sense.
Iman sense.
There it is.
Reaction time is ridiculous right now, but as we mentioned before, this composition from RRQ will get ahead very early on into the game, but RSG PH, they're going to play the same style here. Curse Helmet just being purchased by Demon Kite to help speed the process up as Nats continues his attack on R7. It's going to be a wet noodle fight for the large majority of this game, but we need to wait until RSG PH hits that 32K mark. That's when we're going to see them, if it still is even going to be the same.
This is crazy though, right? Because the gold lead already at this point is pretty massive for RQ, and that's again why they're going to be able to go ahead and start up this Lord early on. We'll see if they actually commit to it, because every member is now going to be this top side of the map.
9 minutes in, the Lord now chunked to half HP. RRQ looking for the play. R7 jumping in onto Demon Kai, falling back once again. RSG Light looking for the Luminant Blast. Flickers there again. 3. The collapses here, and boom! There you have it. Skylar trying to run away with the Tornapart memory as the heavy spin will be able to just stop everyone. Albert looking for the play onto the Lord, but he's going to get bursted down by Iman. He looked for more right here, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 for RSG. No, the Viewer's Passion is there, able to chunk R7 low. Skylar can't deal more damage. Albert jumping in onto 4, but he's going to get caught out of the Mystic Field. He will still be able to get out. The Dawning Light comes through, doesn't connect, but RRQ losing out in that fight.
The desperation coming out from RRQ, they were hungry to get one back against RSG, but they made the call. We have to pull back. We cannot afford to take another loss here, and especially since Albert can't do anything more. He was too low to go in. Skylar doesn't have a front line strong enough to take damage from 4 members from RSGPH, as once again, they tax RRQ Hoshi.
So either way, right, that's still a great moment there for RSG Philippines because they narrow the gold lead a little bit, but now they actually grab a couple turrets too because now they're playing for space, right? They need to get those turrets down, open up the map for themselves, and they could be looking for a play here.
Oh, Nats is so aggressive. Demon Kite getting the death to this welcome, just going to be spitting him out to the team. And Mon right there, Numenor Blast has zoned them away as Skylar will not be able to dish out the damage. Finn still able to flicker out of there. That's going to be the re-engage from RRQ. Demon Kite falls, and RRQ, they're starting to read it, but Iman, oh my goodness, Skylar as well getting out from that. That's now going in once again, looking for re-engage as Light jumps in as well with the follow-up. Albert dishing out so much damage on the Nats, but that's going to be the Mystic Field. Albert caught low, will be shut down. Dawning Light connecting onto 2, and it is a 1-for-1.
Dear God, when does this end? When does that fight end?
First off, Vin survived that fight, and then the Nats with barely anybody health left. So either way, I mean, this is, again, the point when RSG Philippines, they're continuing to buy time. Look at the plays, the confidence coming in from Aman, too. He almost has enough damage to pull those kind of Beatrix maneuvers that we're used to seeing. And this could be trouble for RRQ.
I'm just surprised because, wait, the play's coming out. Mon's in trouble.
Oh, and Mon's going to get locked down there. He will fall. Skylar takes the kill. The bottom side, though, look at what Nats was able to do.
Okay, I just talked about confidence, right? Well, maybe a little too much confidence because now he got out of position. He got caught there and punished.
Looking at the item list so far, I mean, I can understand why. Iman does have 3 items. He's got more than enough armor penetration to really start take down bigger targets. And since Clay was there, you might as well give it a try. But R7 playing it smoothly. Unfortunately for him, as we were talking about before, does he have the Cross Helm? No, he does not. However, Clay is in prime position.
Now it becomes real dangerous, though, for RRQ Hoshi. Sure, they're still in the lead right now. 1.7 thousand gold lead, but again, we need to step back. Their composition works really well in the early to the mid stages of the game. If it goes to that ultra late game state again, 16 minutes in, that's where RSG find their power spike. It's baffling to me that they found so much success before hitting that Omega quote-unquote timer.
Yeah, and right now, if you saw in those items too, right, Clay really starting to just get those damage items this time around. It's not the same build he played in game number 1, and that could turn the tides for them as they get to this point. He has to be able to match that damage that is going to be pumped out from Aqua too, like we talked about with the Xavier, especially late game. Now, Lord going to be bobbed and weaved around here for now. Which team decides to go in?
Half HP on the Lord. This time around, it is going to be the Luminous one, enhanced one, as RSG look to find more control here. R7 looking for the heavy spin, going at it. They're going to go for it. That's going to be Albert with the Retribution. Clay going to get taken down, though. That's going to be the Numenor Blast popped and used from Light to catch Finn off. He is going to fall 2 for 0 right now. They're looking to collapse for more. Skylar will not be able to run away. He goes in for one more dash. Insane maneuvers from both of the teams. Albert gets out with 1 HP, but will fall to Aqua. R7 gets out. The Lord traded in for 3 kills. I don't think it's worth it.
I don't think it's worth it too, and I think Vin, unfortunately, did make a little bit of a mistake there. I think he could have sacrificed his life to save both Clay and as well as Albert there in that situation. Maybe not necessarily Clay, but compared to getting 3 members dying from the side of RRQ, compared to just 1, maybe even 2, I think the sacrifice play should have been played. It should have been taken.
Again, going back to the game plan of RSG Philippines, win those little bit of skirmishes, those team fights around the objectives. Gold lead pretty much gone at this point, right? So RQ lost that, and now look at the player gold. Eman is exactly where he wants to be. Skylar has quite a bit of items in even gold himself, but he has a much harder time to get that damage off because he needs to get those marks off before torn apart memory. But look at Vin.
That's exactly what we mentioned. The Dawning Light unfortunately was not able to take Vin down there with the Athena, but my goodness, the poke, the damage at this point is not even poke. It's just burst.
It's just burst, and they're dead even when it comes down to gold with a slight lead on RSG PH's side. Can we pull up the items? I'm curious to see. Vin seems to be taking a little too much damage from Iman, and I'm surprised Aqua wasn't able to just one-shot him at that stage. I'm guessing right now that Vin does have a decent amount of magic resist in comparison to how much armor he has.
Well, again, there's the damage dealt, right? I'm not sure if that's exactly what you wanted to see here, but that works at this point because yeah, Aqua already getting to that point. As we saw, that 18 to 20 minute mark is really when Aqua's gonna hurt. And there you go. That's actually gonna be the updated one here. Look at that. At the top.
Interesting. He's already at the 42k mark, but the amount of damage doesn't seem to be adding up in terms of the percentile it's dishing out to RRQ. So my guess is that they're respecting Aqua and they're making sure that they're building their MR very early on, their magic resist to keep them alive and healthy. But this does give a lot of room for Iman to work with. Let's just see how this plays out as they set up topside, waiting to ambush one of the members of RRQ. Could be, I don't think they're going to fall for it, especially since the waves aren't in the right place.
Yeah, on top of that too, right, the next Lord going to be up in about 20 seconds, so all they have to do is set up around that part of the map, look for a play again. Notice Navs too, at the bottom, just doing work there, cutting the waves. This could be a setup, though. They don't know they're there.
Oh, no, blast Vin still able to cancel it out there. Iman's gonna get back all the way. That I'm offended, and the read from RRQ as they look for more here. Light forced to back away, and the timing. Look at the timing as to when they check that push.
That's so perfect.
Wow.
Did they know they were there? Was that a check?
That's the thing.
Was that a 200 IQ play?
That was a 5,000 IQ play.
How did they know? How did they know? I know they sent members here, but they could have easily, I know they have buff timers, but the next fight's already beginning.
Yeah, Vin with I'm Offended gonna be able to catch Demon Kite there, but now RSG, they look for something new. And blast onto the front's gonna be cancelled again by Vin. R7 looking for the re-engage right now as he will be immobilized by the Mystic Field. Albert's still on it. They need to look for the commitment onto the Lord right now. R7 with a heavy spin, zoning Demon Kite away. This is a free Lord take, and Albert will be able to take it. That time in the back line, Skylar's still taken low here, going to be able to kite away as Clay is just popping, staying, committing onto that real world manipulation. RRQ once again are in the lead.
That's so clean.
Yeah, it's very clean.
Wow.
And this is the benefit of having that Akai on the side lane, not being in the jungle, right? Because we just saw it there. He single-handedly zoned out the members of RSG Philippines, and especially Demon Kite, right? So that allowed them to just secure that Lord. They take the disciplined approach, reset, and now they can march into the base.
Okay, looking at the item list so far, you got an Anti-Cuirass, you also have a Dominance Eyes, as well as an Athena shield. So it does kind of show that they are prioritizing, making sure that they do have some form of magic resist. It's not coming out as much as you would like to, but we do have the Holy Glaive as well coming out from Xavier. So in terms of how much, and especially since the sub-emblems do give them a little bit of benefit, you can tell that they're making sure that Aqua isn't going to be as effective as he was in the previous game.
Let's see, when they siege down the base here with the Brody, I think it's going to be really good. But RSG Philippines, they're doing a really good job at zoning away, using Iman and Aqua's damage, channeling it together to just burst down the Enhanced Lord. Now taken down, RRQ will look to find more creative ways to take the base turret down. R7 is still down below. Skylar's trying to just siege it down with the basic attacks. Yep, he will be able to take it down there in the bottom side. Top side also taken low, so they're poking it really down. Winions up top.
Winions indeed, as they get 2 turrets at the base of RSG Philippines. So they're happy with that, right? If they can find enough time, again, just to stall it out, wait for the next Lord, they can do the same thing. Right now, RSG Philippines has to be conscious again of that Akai, that heavy spin to zone them out. At the same time, right, where does RSG Philippines find a play here? Because you guys mentioned it, right? Gideon, you mentioned it, that magic resistance is actually working really well to counter the damage so far from Aqua, and it just, at this point, it's not working as well as it did in game number 1.
I'm curious to know, did R7 not complete his boots this entire time, or did he switch them out later on into the game?
I actually don't know. I'm pretty sure,
That's the thing, right? We
it's
did
weird.
see the buy. We'll have to theorize about that later, leave it to the analysts to do the hard.
Pandas wear boots?
That is a good point. That is
Doesn't need them.
That is true. That is true. But with RSG and the way that they're playing, right? I don't know how effective this single purchase is going to affect the the bigger picture here.
Yeah. Because, again, all he has to do, really, at this point in the game, is just zone out the members of RSG Philippines. That's literally his assignment. He's understood it up to this point, and now RSG Philippines is having to respond around that because at this point, too, immortalities are up. So you pretty much have to handle that in itself. And there you go. Albert also picks up an Athena shield. So at this point, you're really negating a lot of that kind of burst magic potential.
We're seeing a lot of similarities though to game number 1, but this time around RRQ not as dominant in the early stage. Though again, I want to emphasize this: RSG Philippines, it's 19 minutes in now. That's where Aqua and Eman have their power spikes. This is where they start to just turn these fights. RRQ though, they notice that Eman is up top. They just fully commit onto the Lord. I feel like they just position themselves a little bit too risky here, and Light will be read out by R7. He goes into the bush knowing Light is there. It is just going to be the Lord taking a half HP. They just try to bring it out. They're trying to just bait it out here as RSG are going to look for more map control, especially here in the bottom side river. Both teams not pulling the trigger just yet. RSG getting caught out here as Vin will be able to open up the map once again. Demon Kai going for the death as welcome time. Vin is going to get caught. He spits him out with the damage coming through, but R7 is going to be able to buy so much time. Vin getting out. R7 taking low there in the top side. Forced to flicker out. Clay is going to get caught. No! 1, 2, 3! RRQ! They can't go anywhere. The real world manipulation was caught there, but instantly cancelled by Clay. And now RRQ, they lose R7. Albert is still half HP, but they cannot look for anything here. Look at Albert. He just goes for the purple buff. It's RSG with a clean fight and a free Lord.
Oh, the one angle that RRQ didn't think of. They were doing the exact same thing. They're trying to delay, but the top side, the minions are pushing into the crystal, and Aqua here to stay and defend the base. The hero, the low-key hero that RSG needs, as the rest of the team trying to take this Lord as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be Lord taken down. R7 looking for the pin, but the Numenon Blast once again by Light going to be cancelled out as R7 flickers there and cancels it away. RRQ Hoshi still getting out on this fight, but at what cost? They lose so much. Evolved Lord now, just as I say it.
This is crazy too, right? Because that whole time, Emon played it perfectly, right? The positioning for him to really just be disciplined enough. We are going to be taking a look at this instant replay presented by TikTok here. Look at the play. Look at the setup by both of them. Perfect setup there from Light. Look at Emon's positioning this whole time. He also has to be very careful. They canceled Clay's setup here because that could have been a big disaster for them, but they played around it so well, and just everything kind of fell into place for RSG Philippines there.
2 key points that they had to keep in mind. Number 1, Skylar showed himself on bottom side, which made it very easy for RSG to say, you're a man down, we can start taking the space, right? Second of all, it's just disrupting Clay's ultimate, because as you can tell by his build, he's playing pure utility here. He's trying to shred, he is trying to demean RSG as much as possible when it comes down to RSG trying to run away from fights specifically.
Well, that's going to be the Evolved Lord marching down. Eman somehow finding that spot to hit Skylar in the midst of it all, and that's going to be the top side turret taken down. RSG Philippines just chaining this all across RRQ's base. Mid lane turret inner taken down. They're looking for more on the board, but no. They just pull back. RRQ with a good defense. RSG with very good discipline, able to just control this. Still holding on to that 3,000 gold lead, which is just going to get bigger and bigger as we progress through the game. RSG have hit their power spikes, and now it's going to be RRQ who need to find that comeback moment.
I feel like they're feeling pretty confident here, especially you saw Emon, he has that immortality, right? So he doesn't, I mean, he's also got the flicker available to him, so he can be a little more defensive or aggressive with that, deciding how he wants to play it out. You can see R7, again, this is up to him to find that moment for the setup. Vin is there to help with the disengage if he needs to, or he also has a flicker, I'm offended combo to initiate, but he's got to be super careful here, because even if you catch someone out, immortality is going to be popped. You still have to work around them, and look at Emin and Aqua, right? They're just pretty much in the back lane, letting Nats, Light, and Demon Kite just take the brunt of that damage.
I totally agree, but I think the biggest problem here for RQ is going to be Nats, right? Because again, Skylar is continuously getting threatened here. Nobody's really able to peel Nats off of him, and when they do, that means Clay is wide open. So who does RRQ Hoshi play for right now? Do they play for Skylar, or are they playing for Clay? And when you look at both of them, they have to work together. If they get split in half, that's when RSG start picking them off one by one, pressing their advantage and creep up down and push him right back into the crystal.
Speaking of Skylar or Clay, we have to talk about the damage output here now that we are entering that late game, because we kind of mentioned this in the draft. When you pick something like a Brody, it's going to be tough, it's going to be rough when we get into that later stage of the game. If we take a look at Skylar's items as well, there's no way he's building full offensive items. It has to be some defensive, maybe a brute force breastplate and an immortality here, and there you go. As I say it, exactly right, except it's the Athena, not the immortality.
Yeah, I mean, double defensive items, he's still able to kind of survive a little bit longer than he should, but he's also taking Killing Spree instead of Weapon Master, so he's not going to hit as hard as he would like to at this stage of the game.
Nats again, though. Look at his positioning. He's looking to just find Clay, find Skylar on the flanks, and he does exactly that. He pops the sprint. No, he doesn't pop the sprint just yet. He's going in. He knows where Clay is. Clay's going to get zoned out. R7's looking for an opening here onto the Lord, looking for that heavy spin once again. Light taken to half HP.
Nats.
Immobility there as that's going into the Dawning Light once again. Nats finding Clay, but he will not be able to run this time. It's actually going to be Finn looking for the cover. Gets the I'm Offended on Demon Kai, taking the Lord low. It's going to be RRQ to look for the Lord. Heavy spin going to be popped, but Demon Kai so on point with Retribution. Nats taking low there in the bottom side. It's actually Skylar shutting him down, but Clay will fall to the Dawning Light of Aqua, and that's another one. R7 as well. They find him, Mr. Feel onto Finn. Finn can no longer run. The winner truncheon by Albert was misclicked, and Finn will have his immortality pop. Not just yet though. Iman flickers forward, gets Skylar low. The Dawning Light to take him down. Albert jumping on the 3 members, still able to back up. Finn gets hit, but they will both survive with the Evolved Lord. This is looking like a closeout for RSG.
Oh, they're looking to end this game. The inhibitor is going to fall down first. And RSG PH so close to getting this game too. They find one, and they're looking to picks for more.
Albert dealing the damage onto Light. Iman jumping in with the Wesker, just dealing it out without minions. RSG goes it off 2-0.
Again, they buy time to get to exactly where they need to, find those mistakes coming out from RRQ, and they punish them, taking game 2.